The royal messenger. The king desires a new queen. All beautiful young women are to be brought to the palace. The beautiful girl that places the king will become the new queen. Finally, all the girls are gathered into the palace and dressed for the king, and the girls are presented to the king. After looking over the maidens, the king makes his choice. This is an easy choice. I choose this one. What is your name? My name is Esther. I'm honored to be your queen. Later that evening, Esther meets with her cousin Mordecai. Esther, Mordecai, did you hear? The king has chosen me to be his queen. Mordecai, yes, my child. Esther, you have been chosen, but don't forget that you are a Jew. Many people in this country hate the Jews. You must keep it a secret. Esther, I will not tell anyone, not even the king. Esther sits in a chair and Mordecai walks away. Esther becomes queen and lives in the palace. She is a kind, good person. Later, her cousin comes to warn her of something. Mordecai, Esther, I overheard the two of the king's guards talking. They were plotting to kill the king. You must get word to the king. Esther, don't worry, I will tell the king. Esther walks quickly over to the king. Esther tells the king of the plot and saves his life. The king is grateful to Mordecai and to Esther, and the king promotes a man named Haman above all the princes in his court. In enters Haman. My name is Haman. I am a great person in the palace, and therefore all servants must bow to me. And everyone bows, except Mordecai. Mordecai, I will not bow down to you. I know how much you hate the Jews, and you are cruel to my people. Haman, you must bow down to me. Mordecai, I will not bow down to you. Haman stomps off the stage and everyone leaves. Haman is so mad that Mordecai won't bow down to him, he decides to punish all the Jews. He thinks of a plan and goes to the king. Haman says, My king, I have found that some people in our kingdom do not keep all the king's laws. And if it pleases you, I will write a decree that they will all be destroyed, both young and old, little children and women, in one day. If you will let me do this, I will pay a large amount of silver into the king's treasures. The king says, Everyone should obey the laws. Do what you think is best. Haman writes a decree to everyone on that certain day all the Jews will be put to death. Haman hands the king a piece of paper, and the king signs it. King hands the paper back to Haman, and Haman struts off very, very proud of himself. Mordecai walks up to Esther. Mordecai, did you hear? The king has chosen me to be his queen. Mordecai says, Yes, my child. Esther, you have been chosen, but don't forget that you are a Jew. Many people in this country hate the Jews, and you must keep it a secret. Mordecai walks up to Esther. Esther, only you can help us. Haman is going to kill all of our people. You must go tell the king. Esther says, I want to help, but I do not dare present myself to the king. I am only allowed to see the king if he asks for me, and I haven't been called to the king in over 30 days. If I go to see him without asking for me, he could have me killed. Mordecai says to her, But you must. Maybe this is why you are the queen at this time, to save our people. You are our only hope. Esther, thinking about it, says with courage, Okay, I will. If I perish, I perish. Please have everyone fast and pray for me for 3 days. I need heavenly help from the Father. With everyone's prayers and the Lord's help, I can do this. Mordecai says, Yes, Esther, all the Jews will fast and pray for you. And Mordecai leaves. After 3 days, days of fasting and prayer, Esther puts on her finest clothes and enters the king's court. If it pleases to see her, he would raise his golden scepter and she would not be killed. She stands in front of King and waits. She hardly dares to breathe when the king looks up. He sees her and holds out his scepter to her, allowing her to come to him. The king, surprised, "Esther, I am glad to see you. I offer you whatever you want, even if it is half the kingdom." "Esther, let the king and Haman come to the banquet I have prepared. Then I will tell you what I desire." Haman was thrilled to be invited to eat with Esther and the king. Esther leaves and the king stays seated. "Servants, I have been invited to eat with the queen and king. Mordecai still refuses to bow down to me. I will not have it. He must show me respect. I order you to build the gallows to hang Mordecai from." The king says to Haman, "Haman, what should be done for a man that makes the king happy?" Haman smiles because he thinks the king is talking about himself. Haman smugly says, "I think this person should be dressed in royal clothing and the crown put on his head, and the king's horse should carry him throughout the city, and with someone shouting to the people how much the king wants to honor him." King says, "That's a great idea! Quickly, Haman, go and get the Jew Mordecai and do all this for him." Haman hangs his head and walks out. Haman was shocked. There was nothing to do but obey. Instead of hanging Mordecai, Haman had to lead him around on the king's horse dressed in the royal clothing and shout out wonderful things about him. After escorting Mordecai around, Haman is very upset. He is hurried and dressed for the banquet, and they all sit down at the banquet. The king says, "Esther, this food is wonderful, but you still haven't told me what you request." "Esther, if it pleases the king, please spare my life and that of my people, for I am a Jew and about to be slain." The king says, "I don't understand. Who would kill you or the Jews?" Esther says, "The person is Haman. The decree he had you sign will allow all the Jews to be killed and myself. O king, I know a king's decree cannot be changed, but could you please allow for the Jews to defend themselves on this terrible day that they are being slaughtered?" King, "What?" Turning to Haman, "Haman, you tricked your king. Take him away!" "Mordecai," the king says, "I hereby allow the Jews to arm themselves and fight anyone who tries to harm them." The king is very happy that Mordecai is better. The king is very angry at Haman, and he ended up suffering death on the gallows he built for Mordecai. Because of the fasting and the prayers of the Jews, Esther's great courage, the king changed the order and the Jews were all saved.